Today's going to be a little bit of a special edition episode. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, then you've probably heard our interview with New York Times bestselling author Bob Waldinger. Now, you might know Bob as the author of The Good Life or the director of the Harvard Study of Adult Development, the longest-running study on happiness ever done. But what you might not know is that he is also a Zen priest, and we've become super good friends since our interview, and we were lucky enough to sit on one of Bob's Dharma talks last week. In it, he told a story that was so powerful that we had to ask for his permission to share it with us, and he's kindly allowing us to share it with you. So that is what we'll be opening today's episode with. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
Life is beautiful.
I'm going to paraphrase just a little for the sake of Bob's privacy, but here is his talk. Death visited my family a month ago. Actually, a month ago tonight. I signed off from our group meditation, and at that moment, my dear cousin called to tell us that she had been diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer. And she went from thinking she just had a cough to dying from her illness in 13 days. So this was a shock for all of us, most of all for my cousin. Now, she was really more like a sister to me than a cousin. And even though family members are assigned to you at birth, she was a family member that you choose. She was a pillar. She was the connector of everyone in the family. She was the glue. And so she was the person who I couldn't imagine life without. And suddenly, she was dying. But how she met her death was a very useful teaching for me. I'm going to stop reading there. And Bob went on to pull out so many beautiful lessons from this encounter with death and his cousin. And there are way too many to talk about in a 7-minute podcast episode. But the one that we really do want to hone in on is how death reminds us of what a miracle it is to simply be alive. And there was one story that he tells later on in his talk that I also want to share really quickly. He tells a story about an elementary school teacher who sees one of her little students. He's 7 years old in the classroom. They were having quiet reading time in class, and she saw him doing this happy little dance at his seat very quietly. And so she called him over and said, "What were you thinking about just now?" And he said to his teacher, "Do you ever forget that you're alive and then all of a sudden you just remember?" This little 7-year-old had a moment of awakening. And each time I think of my cousin, yes, I feel deep pangs of sadness, but I remember that miracle of being alive. Gives me the chills.
That's a wise little 7-year-old there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is such a powerful concept, and just the way that Bob told the story to bring it to life was something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. And it's just a simple reminder that life is really a gift, man. Every moment is something to be cherished, and it can be taken from us at any time. And it reminds me of that Marcus Aurelius quote, where he says, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love."
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we've all had like encounters with death in some way, shape, or form. You're a human, right? So you've had an encounter with death, and when it does come, you get this reminder that life is precious, but then it fades, right? After a while, just like all things in life, it fades away, and you forget just how precious this life is. And in a way, we start acting like we have forever to live, and we forget the simple fact that that's not true, and that just like this little 7-year-old boy said, it's a miracle to have another day, to be alive today.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just wanted to make this episode to honor Bob, to honor his cousin, and to remind you that life is extremely precious, and today is truly a gift just to simply be alive.
I started doing this little morning routine with Alessia, my daughter. I pick her up in the morning, and I go to the window, and we say good morning to the neighbors. And then I say, "Thank you, God, for another day. It's a beautiful day to be alive." And that just simple mantra, I hope, sticks with her for the rest of her life, to say thank you every single morning when she wakes up.
Yeah, speaking of it's a beautiful day to be alive, there's a little Easter egg in this podcast. So every episode you listen to, hear "Life is beautiful" right before the music starts, and that is actually our dad. That is a voice recording from a voicemail from him that he left for us, and that is the motto that he lives his life by. And it's because he had his own near-death experience many years ago, before I was even born. He was basically told by doctors that he shouldn't be alive right now. He had a hole in his heart, and he had to be rushed into emergency surgery. And even now, he has a mechanical valve that's constantly clicking, and his life is always basically on the line, right? Way more precious than ours, and way more close to, you know, uh, losing it than we are, just because he's living a very risky life with that mechanical valve. And so for him, every day that he wakes up, he's reminded when he hears this clicks in his heart of just how precious this gift of life is. And so wanted to share that little Easter egg too, and say thank you to our dad and honor him as well, because he's taught us a lot, and he's taught us to cherish this one life. And we just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah. Any call to action here?
No call to action today. I think that Bob's words are powerful enough. The story is powerful enough. And it's really more of just a reminder that life is precious, life is temporary, and to not take your health and your life for granted today, to appreciate the little moments.
I'll add a call to action, which is a very simple one, which is one of the simplest prayers you can ever say in life is just saying thank you for today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So today, say that prayer. And if you don't want to call it a prayer, don't call it a prayer, but just say thank you.
A little mantra.
Sure. Thanks for hanging out with us. Love you.